Cuse, baby, Cuse.
Three guys, many games. Big week ahead of us. I'm here, Steve Sombrato, your host. I'm here with Vinny Sombrato, my dear brother, and Rob Smalley, who happens to be in first place in the picks. Do we get a little cheer for him?
Yeah, I gotta give him leading the way.
Allegations, Smalls.
Oh, come on. I mean, allegations are always allegations, but the proof is in the pudding. I won the Pro League. I'm coming off a big victory there. Now you're making me talk. I don't really want to talk because I could jinx myself. But I am ahead in the picks. It's somewhat strategic. Some are lucky, obviously. We don't know all the teams. But I'm actually have a little bit of a system.
Not following the rules.
Yes, you should follow the rules, though. That's basic.
Rules. Of course I'm following the rules.
We always have a rule.
We had rules that anybody who's leading has to pick first.
Right.
I said we should have to send them into a third party, and then
Too complicated.
Okay.
There's logistical issues there.
Well, then he's got to get his picks in. He waits.
Steven, you guys didn't listen to one thing I said, which you don't want to listen to me. I would solve everything. 1, 2, 3.
Go ahead.
You come up with a time. I say I'm not ready. We all send up picks at the same time. So you can't look at anybody's pick. Nobody's looking at anybody's pick.
But you're not ready. He has deadlines so that the fans can pick the games. So every time we can't wait. If my picks are done, his picks are done. The fans are waiting for us. We can't wait for you. So you have to, when he puts the games up, you have to make your picks. That's
all right. We'll follow the rules here a little bit better, guys. We'll move ahead.
But give credit where credit's due. He's in first place, coming off a championship in the PLA.
No, we'll know if he starts following the rules. If he has a precipitous drop like the stock market, then we'll know what's at cause here.
I want to talk about the game of the century, which I believe coming this weekend.
We're going to get to that when
man,
we have a special guest today.
Yeah, introduce him, Steven.
I can only imagine who the guest is. You probably got
we
Tillman or somebody
with the game of the year, the neutral site game of the year happening this weekend. Number 1 Cornell taking on number 4 Syracuse. We're going to have Lee Corrigan from Corrigan Sports, who's hosting the event. And
that's great. Fantastic.
We want to get all the particulars on this.
Let me just tell people where the game is at, first of all. Some people call me.
We're going to do that.
I know, but
we're going to do that when he's on. Why are you going to do it when he's not on? We're going to have to do it again when he's on.
No, because we're live.
Well, he's coming on live. What do you think? He's dead? He's coming on.
All right.
No, people ask me if it was at Hofstra. It's not at Hofstra.
Again, we can wait till the guy comes on who's running the event. Why are you in a rush to get to that?
Just an extra. We're talking that long.
We want to talk about.
He's like Jimmy 2 times.
What do you want to talk about? Don't you got to move.
Well, we got to talk about the rankings. We got to talk about who looks like they can make a real run. We got to talk about where there were upsets. We got to talk about who looks like, from a conference standpoint, the conferences. So, some of these teams started out hot, but they're fading.
Let's talk about.
Really, can we ask about Notre Dame? Maybe, or is that too close to the vest?
Well, he's of course that's a relative to him. We could ask, we could ask his relationship.
No, I'm saying it was the first time in 3 years they lost 2 games in a row.
Yeah,
right. I mean,
we could discuss that here right now. Look. So where do you want to start, Stephen, with that?
Let's start in the conferences. Let's start with the ACC. He mentioned it. Notre Dame's lost 3 games this year. 2-time defending champ. I still think they're still a very strong team. I mean, I don't see any reason to panic from my perspective. Playing up in the dome is always tricky and hard. So right now, the team that looks like they're going to be on the outside in, unless, again, they're going to get opportunities to play, is Virginia. Virginia's winless in the ACC. Notre Dame's got one win. Carolina's got one win. Duke doesn't have a win yet either. So, look, Virginia could squeeze into number 4 if they can beat Duke. I think that they're playing this weekend, actually.
Yes, they are.
So
That's a big
yeah.
game. I mean, it's
Yeah, Virginia beats Duke. They're getting into the ACC tournament, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a 4-team tournament. I think one team who finishes 5th is out, right?
Right.
So,
Yes.
And then the question is, who wins that right now? It looks like, with Syracuse beating Notre Dame, it looks like maybe you got to give them the edge. If it ends up like we're saying, who gets the? I'm sure Syracuse. I don't know how those games are. In terms of home field or it's a predetermined.
Oh, is Lee? We got
Oh,
Lee.
wait a minute. We got to move around here now when Lee pops on. There he
Breaking
is.
news.
Lee Corrigan's in the house. How you doing,
Hi guys,
Lee?
how you doing, man?
All right.
We're doing all right.
Good. Oh, we're glad to have you. We were just going over some conference play and stuff like that. We started the show by saying that you were going to pop on when you could, because we're very excited for the event you're holding over at Mitchell Field in Uniondale on Saturday at 4:00. Correct?
Yes, sir. Hey, man. Yeah, we're really excited. We're really excited about it. It's going to be a great game. Obviously, Syracuse did us a solid and beat cousin Kev at Notre Dame,
There you go.
right, to put them right in the picture of arguing for who's the best in the country. So we got Cornell ranked number 1 and Syracuse number 4. So we are very pumped up about that. We've been doing these college lacrosse live series games, and what we try to do is bring big non-conference games, top 20 matchups, try to bring them to smaller, intimate settings. And last year, of course, we came to Long Island, went to Long Island University with Notre Dame and Cornell, and it was off the hook. We had 8,000 people. You know what they say. We're from the 80s, so, it's not a party until the fire marshal's called, right?
There you
And
go.
they were pretty excited that we had that many people in there. And, we're looking for a similar situation at Mitchell Field. And, we're looking forward to a great crowd and, knock wood on the weather. But the two teams are loaded up with superstars, and I think it's going to be great.
Yeah, I agree with that. But, again, I'm always the guy who always Smalls and my brother Steven, I like to go back. I want to, we want to hear the lineage, because the name Corrigan is synonymous not only with the sport of lacrosse, but also basketball. And you got relatives who are ADs and people who started conferences. Can you give us some of that? Who belongs to who? How are
Sure,
you,
yeah. Well,
Kevin? We're trying to figure it out, how different.
Well, it's a long list, and I can tell you, Vanny, that the family reunions are a lot of fun.
I bet.
We got a lot of knuckleheads, and it was like that when I was a little kid. Of course, yes, as I like to tell people, I was born into this kind of thing. And you probably know that my father and my uncles were all great lacrosse players. My father was a Turnbull Award winner back in the 50s with Maryland, won national championship. We had Uncle George who played with him. And, of course, a lot of people know Uncle Gene because he was the athletic director of Notre Dame and then later was the commissioner of the ACC. And the most successful of them was a guy named Jimmy. And he was also a great lacrosse player. And, he had a son who actually played on those Duke teams back with Gene Banks and Kenny Denard and those guys that made the Final Four. So we're lacrosse basketball guys. I went to Maryland, graduated from Maryland, chased you around some fields for a while, never caught you, but I'm going to catch you this week, and I'm going to get up right behind you, hit you right behind the knees.
Yeah, I'm a lot slower now. That's
Then I'm going to run like hell.
You got a better shot. But now, and then you have now Booker Corrigan at NC State, who's the AD. How is he related?
That's Boo. That's cousin Boo.
Boo. Yeah.
At NC State, Booker is going to be on hand at Mitchell Field, and he's going to be doing the play-by-play.
Okay.
And he's always a character. He's the guy that
good.
comes up with all kinds of funny sayings. If you watch movies from the 80s and 90s, you'll really enjoy his broadcast.
He makes quite a few references he makes.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's one of the things we try to do is make America great again, right? We're all caught up with that. But Booker's thing is make lacrosse fun again.
There you go. Yeah.
And so that's what we're trying to do. And,
we believe in that.
This is a great way to finish off our College Lacrosse Live series this year. Tomorrow in Baltimore, we have the One Love game, who is our charity for this. And it's the Maryland versus Virginia women's game.
Good game.
And we're having it at NDP High School, which is a little intimate setting. We're gonna stuff 10 pounds of potatoes in a 5-pound bag, and it's going to be very exciting, and that should be good. And we've been able to raise a lot of money for One Love Foundation, and that's something that
awesome.
everybody should be proud of. We're up to $11,000 so far.
Nice. Great. Yeah, listen, you guys, look, you've done it at every level too. I remember, you've done, weren't you the guys of Corrigan Sports did the Under Armour games and for the high school teams, and you're still doing a lot of high school stuff also? We do. So, of course, we're the guys that invented the Under Armour All-American, which is now the New Balance All-American. Under Armour, as we know, stopped making sticks and pads and things like that. So they wanted to get out. And ironically enough, the guys that were our main contacts at Under Armour, they went to work for New Balance. And of course, they called us right away and said, "Oh my God, Under Armour's out. We're in. Don't worry about it. We're in." And we've been very fortunate, Vinny, because we got on 2 rocket ships, right? Under Armour was smoking hot when we first started with them, right? And now New Balance is really hot. And so we're very fortunate in that regard. And that New Balance All-American senior game, of course, is, I always compare it to the McDonald's All-American basketball game. Truly the best of the best, boys and girls game. And then what really makes our event special is that underclass tournament where we take the best kids from Long Island. We make teams up. We take the best kids from Baltimore and Philly and New England. And there's 12 different regions. They come to Baltimore and they are just battling it out. And that is a absolute bloodbath, fist fight, a lot of regional pride, in those games. And then we top the whole thing off on Saturday night with a game, the senior games, which is live on ESPN, which you guys have always seen. Well, you mentioned New Balance. That Jim Davis at New Balance, I mean, he really was a guy who bought in and I guess really loved the game because he came in early with us in the MLL. That's right. And he, that propelled that league and kept it going for a long time. He was very generous to the league. It was a good thing. Yeah, for sure. He really has been quite the friend to lacrosse, right? Yeah. And so, that continues. And his son, Chris Davis, is now at the helm, and he's our guy, and he's obviously very enthusiastic about supporting lacrosse. And so we got a lot of lacrosse guys. Our friend Brendan Kelly, he used to own the Chesapeake Bay Hawks, of course. He owns SmartLink, who's the title sponsor of the College Lacrosse Live series. So there's a lot of lacrosse connections in this, and Baltimore and Long Island. We got so many friends, and we got Channy up there, and we got Tim O'Connell, one of the great guys of all time that have always helped us be successful in whatever it is that we were doing in Long Island. And so, hats off to the gang up there, and I'm sure we're going to have a great day Saturday. Yeah, well, in what you do, it definitely takes a village. It's a lot of moving parts, getting the feels, getting the people in the seats, all the things that go into it. I know there's tremendous behind the scenes work. Yeah, amen. We're going to have our 15 CSE monkeys out there building everything out and making sure everything goes relatively smoothly. We got
Danny Murphy, everybody's favorite referee.
Murph, yeah.
Of course, he comes out and chips in and helps out and helps smooth some things over when I start fist fights in the parking lot. He's pretty good at that.
Lee, I wanted to ask you. Obviously, this takes a lot of work. I would imagine, at least this college lacrosse game sector of your business that you do. I mean, it must take a lot of advanced preparation. Obviously the schedule has to be out to college. How far in advance are you actually working to create this game, and how do you go about choosing? Obviously you got relationships with a lot of the teams, but how do you narrow that down to, and when do you start to
Yeah, that's a great question. And really when we start is last spring for this year, right? And so obviously I have a great relationships with a number of coaches. Gary Gates, a dear friend. And one of the things that he wanted to do was he wanted to get on Long Island for a game, right? He's got the Spalina boys, and he's got 25 Long Island guys on the squad, right? And so does Connor up at Cornell. Mm-hmm. So both of them were very interested in having a neutral site game. And so that's kind of the way we work that out. And then you got to do the little dance of, okay, whose home game was it? Well, it was Gary's home game this year. So we got to give Syracuse a little kiss, right?
Yeah.
And of course we give Connor a little kiss as well to bring the Cornell down. And so that's how we put that together. And then we figure out where we're going to take it. And last year we're at Long Island University, which worked out very well. And then we thought Mitchell Field, because we had been there so many times with that All-America tryout. Right. And, great relationship with Tim O'Connell. And everybody knows he knows where all the bodies are buried. So he helps us, put some things together, connect the dots. And then it's a marketing and promotion game, right? Where we're pushing it out there and we're leaning on a lot of people. Right now we already have over 3,000 tickets sold, which probably doesn't sound like a lot, but we all know that this kind of thing is a last minute walk up thing.
Yeah. No doubt.
And I'll let you boys in on a secret. Nobody else is listening, right? Last year at the Notre Dame Cornell game, it was off the hook, and we can tell how many people are buying tickets online, right? With our handy dandy little handheld computers. And it was about 5 minutes before game time. And I saw a line of 1,000 people. And I said, no, not at a Corrigan sports event. That ain't happening. So I got out there with all the Long Island University players and helped check everybody in really quickly to get them in before that opening faceoff, because I wasn't going to let that happen.
Yeah.
That was a great day. The other question I was going to have for you is, where do you keep all of the four-leaf clovers, horseshoes, and rabbit's foots that you end up with these two type of games? I mean, both years you have the number one team, and both years you end up with another top 5 team, I think.
Yeah, you're right. And so you're right. There's a little guesswork, of course, right? When we start putting these things together. Well, we've had, I don't want to call them stinkers, but we had Towson versus Virginia, and Virginia was ranked in the top 10 when we started getting going. And then, of course, they lost a couple games. Now they're not doing so hot. So we had that game in Houston. And then we had Duke versus Denver, which in Dallas, which we thought was going to be a good game. And we thought, okay, Duke probably going to win, but it's probably going to be a pretty good game. And of course, the reverse happened. Denver absolutely whomped Duke in Texas. So there is guesswork. Trust me, I have some broken Lucky Charms myself with the luck.
I didn't even know. See, I didn't even know. So how many of these games are you doing each year?
4.
4 games.
Yeah, 4. And, last year, the crown jewel, of course, was the Notre Dame Cornell game because, it delivered big time. 8,000 crazy fans, 17-16, barn burner of a game.
Great.
The weather was really nice. It was a really great show. And, so that was the home run, right?
Yeah,
but,
sure.
And I will say all of them have been successful. It's just what level of success, I wish I could tell you we're getting rich off it. We're not, but, but it's in the blood, as you said immediately, Vinny, it's in the Corrigan blood, right? I was born this way, unfortunately.
Yeah, you guys are out there, which is,
What
great.
you do, though, it is a credit, because what you do is, if you're in the area of those traditional strong teams, you could go to, if you're up in Ithaca and you're going to Cornell games week after week. This aspect of what you're bringing to the table is you're bringing two highly quality teams to maybe areas that don't always get to see these type of teams play. And I think that's what builds an excitement no matter what. I would imagine, people have to say, like, wow, this is an opportunity to see a very, very high level lacrosse game, and that we wouldn't normally get to see.
And that is exactly what our goal has been, is kind of take it to non-traditional markets, right? Which Long Island, of course, is long history of being a traditional market, dominant market. But obviously you got Hofstra's very good program, and you got Stony Brook, right? But you don't get to see that big Syracuse, Cornell, right? Notre Dame, Cornell kind of game. So that was the idea there. Put it in a neutral site, place like Mitchell Field specifically. But, I got to tell you, like, we went down to Texas and I was really nervous, right? Because just not sure how many people are really going to show up. Man, they showed up. We had over 3,000. We had 3,000 in Houston. Then we had about 4,000 in Dallas. And there was a good crowd. And I can't tell you how appreciative they were. Not just the transplants, right? Yeah. Guys like that we know that moved down there or something, just people that live down there and their kids are playing lacrosse and they were so hyped up about it. And they treat the kids like they're rock stars. They're waiting in a long line for autographs. And so there was a lot of enthusiasm around both those games.
That's great. I know Rob Smalley is chomping at the bit. He's got a list of questions. He's taking notes, and he wants he's an in-depth type of guy. Go ahead, Smalls, you're up.
You don't want to know, Mike. I'm all about food. I want to know if I'm going to get a big rock burger.
I was going to say that.
The guy from Cornell.
I didn't even have.
The guy from Cornell is supposed to cook. They told him he couldn't cook. I get a phone call. I said, "Don't worry, you guys can set up and cook in the parking lot." I want to know if I'm going to get the rock burger this year from Cornell. That's the thing. While I'm wearing my Syracuse shirt, I'm going to get killed. Look at this.
That's right. You're going to have to hang out with Brendan Kelly and Mary Beth Spolana.
Hey, Corrigan, look what I got here.
I see that. You might end up in a fist.
I had to make up 400 of these for Mike Leo in the crowd.
Yeah, there you go.
And I'm wearing one. Oh, my God. But anyway,
we could get some of these logistics out to people. I suggest people go get your tickets early now.
Yes.
First of all, let me get a little.
You don't want tickets. Get your tickets now. This is going to be the event of the year.
No, this is the game of the century. Are you kidding me?
It really is.
You ain't never seen this. You got Gary. When are you going to see Gary Gate on Long Island?
Exactly.
Remember?
Exactly.
I got a phone call from the guy. Let me see if he remembers the game. You guys, I may have to go to Vinny because they forget everything too. What was the third guy that played on the line with Gary and Paul Gate when they won the 3 championships? Let's see if Corrigan first, then you second, you third. Who was the third wheel in the 3 national championships with Gary and Paul Gate?
Rodney Dumpson.
You got it.
Yes, he got it.
He's calling me, asking me for a ticket. I said, I'm a nobody. I'm going to get a hamburger. I can't even get into the game. They're asking me, how am I going to get into the game? I got O'Connell asking me, do you need tickets? I said, O'Connell, I'm Irish. When did I ever need a ticket in my life to go anywhere?
Hey, look, I looked for these are affordable tickets for the game of the year.
No, it really is affordable, man. It's
$12. It's a cheap ticket. You're going to see the most highlighted game of the year. I just know how these things get. People out there, go get your tickets now.
Yeah, you could go on College Lacrosse Live, right?
collegelacrosselive.com and get them ahead of time. That way we can get you through early and you won't have to stand in that line, because there will be a line for people to buy tickets there at the ticket window. And by the way, I told you guys how much I hate lines, right? I can't stand lines. So I'll probably be out there hustling, going, if you got cash, I'll take it here, and try to work the
If
line.
they got cash, you could have Smalley will want to be on.
Leo,
the line.
help
Don't
you,
worry.
50-50.
He'll help you. It'll be one for
I'll get
Lee.
everybody in, Lee.
It'll be one for Lee, one for Smalley. That's how we were, one for him, one for me.
Hey, Lee, I got to say, this is going to be one. And I hype it up, but I'm all hype. But this is the game of the century. If they win, Syracuse goes into first place. They'll be number one in the country.
Yeah.
They'll jump 3 slots.
But let's get the people ahead of the curve. I want to give them
Go
some
ahead.
logistics. I want to understand. So Lee, what will the parking situation look like? What's the
Parking situation is great.
fans of what they should do? Maybe
Yeah.
they get ahead of everything. So that
Sure.
they try
Well,
to. The game is 4:00, right?
yeah, 4:00 start. So we
Okay.
know, Rob is going to be in the parking lot with the boys early.
Early.
So we know that lacrosse crowds are early arriving crowds. So there's going to be plenty of tailgating. There's a ton of parking right around Mitchell Field. There's what Mitchell Field owns. Then there's the Omni parking lot, which is adjacent. Then there's the Nassau Community College, which is across Lindbergh. Right. And then to the far left, past the shooting range.
Plenty of parking.
So
Plenty of parking.
Get there early. You might get close to the stadium.
Correct.
If not, you got Omni. You can take a little walk down the street. Nassau Community. It's a fairly short walk down the street. Plenty of parking. Get there early. Get your tickets early. And that's great. Listen, I think I think the fans are going to be really, really excited for this game. Syracuse definitely did you a favor coming up with that big win and looking as good as they did, because it definitely has put in people's mind that this could be a very special game for sure.
Hey, Lee, just so you know, every week, one of the special things that Vinny and Steven came up with, not only do we get to pick the games, which is very hard, we got to pick the games with the point spread. And, of course, we don't gamble because we have the fans and everything. Usually, this game, I haven't seen the spread. I believe it's going to be 1.5 to 2. What do you think, Vinny, would it be?
Yeah, to me, this could be a pick'em game. I think you're on it with 1.5, I think they like to put 1.5 or something because there's winners and losers. They don't like pick'em because, pick'em would be, we very rarely see any games pick'em, right, Steven?
No, it's usually 1.5. Yeah. It looks to me this is going to be 1.5, Vinny.
I think
that's what it looks like to me.
Anticipating maybe this could be an overtime game, which would be
they're favored. Yeah,
it could be. It should be.
Cornell's favored by 1.5. That's what I think it's going to be.
Well, if you remember the game last year, Syracuse had a big lead. I think Cornell came back.
Crazy. Yeah.
That game that they played last year up at Cornell.
Yeah. That was nuts. And the assistant coach got thrown out. Unreleasable penalty and all kinds of crazy stuff was going on.
That's right.
And then I think 3 goals got scored in the last minute of the game.
That's right.
Back
and forth.
Yeah, it was back and forth. It was incredible.
It looked like it was over, and then the other team got a goal, and then that really looked over, and then the other team scored a goal.
Right.
Hopefully we'll get a game like that. That'll be awesome.
I think it was great putting that game at 4:00 for a couple of reasons. Heard the weather, obviously it tends to be a little bit warmer as you get to.
It's going to get warm. It's not going to rain at 4.
But then you also run into high school games are generally either in the morning or 12 o'clock. They finish their game or youth game or whatever they're doing, and they go running right over to Mitchell. That's probably the best way to do
that.
I think Hofstra's at home also.
They are, and they're early in the day, and that's exactly
12
what
o'clock.
we're trying to do,
Literally
we're trying to avoid the kids.
Yeah, they could walk across right from there.
Yeah. So, we're hoping to get them. We should get some people over there to push them our way. But, Stephen has hit the nail on the head. Youth lacrosse, high school lacrosse, we want them to finish up, come to the game. And that's why we place it at that. It's always something that's bothered me anyway in the world of college lacrosse, is that how many games are they going to start at 12 noon?
Yeah,
why don't we start some at noon and 2 and 4 and 6 and 8?
I say that every week, Lee. Every week we say the same thing.
Drives me nuts.
Once you know the result, even though I like to watch and I'll watch other games, once you know the result, it's a little harder to decide to pick up and watch, get into the full game of watching it. Whereas, look, they don't, obviously the playoffs, they don't do that. Playoffs, for the TV,
Sure.
they do stagger
They
it like
stagger
that.
them.
They should stagger the whole season like that for teams.
I agree 100%. I just don't get why they do that. And into the point of, why don't we have some games on Friday night too?
That too.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's all about getting fans in the stands, right? And building the popularity of our game. And
Well, they do that one Sunday game sometimes. You get 1 or 2 on a Sunday, and they get a lot of attention, those Sunday games. You know?
and that's smart, right?
Yeah.
I know the Big Ten does that night game on
Yeah.
Sunday nights at
Yeah.
7, which
Yeah.
is brilliant, right? Because I
Yeah.
know we all watch it, right?
Lee, what's the address to what's the actual address? Like, do you guys actually know the physical address? I know it's Mitchell Field, but
It's Mitchell Field
Charles
on
Lindbergh
Charles Lindbergh Boulevard in Uniondale. That's all I know. I
it's
mean,
in like the back there, guys. You gotta make a left as you're going into National Community College. Just before you get to the college, you make a left. That's Charles Lindbergh Drive.
and Lindbergh just goes around in a big circle.
Take a circle.
Yep.
Yeah, so.
And it's, right next to the Coliseum. And, I know Rob's going to get there early Friday when we're setting up because he probably wants to take me out to Vincent's Clam Bar.
There you go.
Right?
You got that right.
Shout out.
When are you coming in, Friday or Saturday?
Friday, man. We got setup. We got to be
Okay.
doing some setup.
Listen, Steven's available. If Steven, would you help him set up a little? If
Yeah.
you got
I
time?
love how he volunteered you. He didn't say, I'm in. He right away put you in. Steven's available, not me. But
There you go.
Unfortunately, I'm on Weight Watchers now, and I can't.
Yeah.
Doctor's orders.
Not doing too good. But
That is too funny.
hey, Corrigan, just a very quickie. We're going to get into some other stuff. But I was very fortunate last year with Mr. O'Connell and his son playing basketball when I was down at NC State. I got to meet Boo Corrigan, which is your first cousin. Am I correct?
First cousin. Yeah. We got you surrounded.
Yeah. So got to meet him a lot of times. So every time we kept advancing and getting to the Final Four last year with Michael O'Connell and, Mr. O'Connell. We call him Bobblehead, by the way. We call him Bobble. But the run that we had, and every time seeing Boo and talking to it was something special I'll never forget in my entire life. I'm a big basketball guy, so to me, I've been to a lot of Final Fours. That was the greatest Final Four of basketball I've ever seen, and getting to meet Boo, and it was phenomenal. And watching it this year, it was something special to get that win and just to go to the Final Four for basketball. And then Michael O'Connell hitting that famous shot.
Oh, yeah, that was great, right?
It's unbelievable.
That was a great run. Obviously everybody hated to see it end, but yeah, I mean, it was a magical run. And Michael being, he's a crossover guy, lacrosse guy, the family.
They're
It's
special
great.
kids, Michael and the other brother, Thomas, who coaches at Chaminade, but he won't be there. He's away this weekend in Notre Dame. He's actually playing in Notre Dame 2 games.
Okay.
Yeah,
Chaminade
is flying down, to Notre Dame to play 2
Yeah,
games.
2 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, the O'Connells they're a legend. They're legendary, and they're great guys, man.
Yeah, you couldn't find better 2 young kids in life.
Well,
Yeah,
we
he did a
won't
good
tie
job.
you up because we know you got work to do, but we appreciate you coming on. We wanted to, help you as much as we could with the people we have who listen, and hopefully, I think most of the ones who do are diehards who listen to us. So a lot of them go to these games. So we expect a big crowd and a lot of fun on Saturday.
Amen. Thank you so much, guys. We look forward to seeing you guys.
All right, Lee.
Okay. Thanks,
Thanks,
Lee.
man.
Hey, don't forget me, Mr. Chaminade, Bobby Smalls. Don't forget me, Mr. Chaminade.
I got you, Bobby. I got you.
Yeah.
Maybe you get a ticket, Cheryl.
See,
My wife.
Hey,
She might
Cheryl.
get lucky. She might get a free ticket from Vinny. You think Vinny can get you a ticket? All right. Thank you, Lee. Thank you very much.
Take care, Lee.
See you
Bye-bye.
later. Bye-bye.
That was
That
good.
was great. That was great, Vin. Now we got to get to talking about the conferences. We were at the conferences. Wow, that was special. Look, it's going to be a big event.
Yeah,
Lee Corrigan, man, he's big.
he's been doing it a long time.
I think if you go there and put up a few banners, you get that ticket you're looking for.
I'm going to be front and center.
Why don't you
Are you kidding me?
put a couple banners
When
up?
I wear my Mr. Chaminade jacket, forget it. Man, he was great.
You can help.
Listen to me. You got the Spallinis. You got Mike Leo, a.k.a. Fish. They got 50 people alone. The Spallinis got 110 people. I'm telling you, this thing is amazing.
Take it easy.
You got Gary Day coming to Long Island.
Take it easy, Hulk Hogan.
You got Vinny Sombrano.
You're
It might only be about Vinny.
You're
You know, Vinny Sombrano.
So, who do you think it's a more important game for, Syracuse or Cornell?
Syracuse. They don't win, they go back down to 10th, 11th.
Nah,
No,
they're
I
in
don't
good
see
shape.
that.
They're in both good shape. You know,
The
teams we were talking about. We were talking about what's going to happen with maybe the odd man out is going to be Duke and Virginia in the ACC. What do you see there, Vin?
Listen, I think Virginia's struggling, but Duke is not as strong as they've been. So, my opinion, that's their chance is beating for Virginia is to beat Duke. I think of those teams they're going to play in the ACC, I think they're most likely to beat Duke of the other. All these years watching lacrosse, especially when you watch the ACC, anything can happen. There's been games there where, look at last year, Carolina near the end, they seemed to be struggling, and then Duke was hot, and Duke went into Carolina, and Carolina, they opened a huge lead on them. They actually, if they would have won that game by like 7, there was like tiebreakers and all. Eventually, they gave up some goals at the end, but I mean, I don't think a lot of people expected Carolina to beat them last year, and especially beat them the way they did. So who knows? Virginia played probably what was their best game against Syracuse. They were in that game. They were hanging around there, and then they just kind of faded. So maybe that's why last week I thought they'd be better, and they were not. They just seem to be up and down. If you're asking my opinion, who's going to be odd man out, I would say Virginia.
Well, what we've learned in the past few years is that anybody can beat anybody. There's a lot of teams, like you can get hot, you could be struggling, and then all of a sudden you could get hot. And we've seen teams like Michigan, who in the past had been down a little bit, and then all of a sudden they just squeeze their way into that Big Ten tournament and they win it, and then they're in the NCAA. So it's more important to get yourself into that conference, even if you have a bad record. If you could get into that top 4.
Like you're talking about Rutgers is who you're talking about.
Well, I mean, let's talk about the Big Ten.
But look at Michigan. They played a few weeks ago. They played Notre Dame. They got lumped up, really bad, right? They got beat up. And then you say, well, Michigan's fading. Then they come back and they win. They beat Maryland. And then they beat Maryland. Then they win. What was the next game? They beat
Penn State.
No, they lost to Penn State yesterday or whenever it was. They
lost. Well, Michigan is 2-1 in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Rutgers is 2-1 in the Big Ten, and Ohio State is 3-0 in a conference where you only play 5 games.
Yeah.
So right now Maryland and Penn State have only 1 win, and Hopkins has got no wins.
Hopkins has faded a little bit. They got injuries. We always talk about that. We talk about teams with injuries, key guys out, how it changes a team's mojo. Hopefully some of these teams.
Do you think 3 wins? Do you think 3 wins out of the 5 wins in that conference get you in the top 4?
No, I think they'll probably be teams that, they might end up with the same record. Then it's going to get to tiebreaker. And then it's going to be
3 wins is a 14. Yeah.
I don't know if they do head to head, then probably goals, against or something like that, but those conferences, all of those kind of conferences, they could definitely come down to tiebreakers.
Well, Rutgers, put it this way, Rutgers is 2-1 and they got to play Michigan and Penn State.
Right.
Now they could lose both of those and end up 2-3.
Right.
Or they could win one of those and they could be 3-2 with tiebreakers over Maryland.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy.
They'd have the tiebreaker, in the head-to-head there. Look, that's what I'm saying. You don't know.
But these next weeks is really gonna. That's
This is big. This is fun.
who would
Listen,
you have you said?
why
Give me
if
the
you ever want
four
to,
teams.
if you
Give
ever
me
want
the
to,
4 teams of Big Ten right now, and who's out?
You want the 4 teams that are in? Penn State, Michigan,
Ohio State. You have
Ohio State, and Rutgers is in the Big Ten?
yeah.
Rutgers.
So you're putting Maryland out of the tournament, essentially.
If they lose the next 2, yes.
Well,
if they lose the next 2, for sure they're going to,
Look, they've, our dear friend John Tillman might have had some struggles, but you know him. He's coming up with a plan right now.
But if they lose 4 in a row, you're saying they're going to be in?
No,
they're
if
not
they
gonna
lose
lose
4 in a row, if they're 1-4 in the conference, they're not going to be in.
They got
I
Ohio
mean,
State.
they got to win. They got to win
Ohio
3
State
games to get in.
Well, Ohio
They're
State
on the hot seat too.
I don't know that they got to win 3, but at 1, I think you're going to get.
He just said they got to win 3 to get in, basically.
Not necessarily.
Well,
maybe with tiebreakers. I mean, listen, this is tricky. This is definitely tricky.
I mean, you know my love for Tillman, man. I mean, I don't want to see my boy go. That'll crush me.
Then the next question is this: if you don't make your own tournament, can you make the NCAAs?
I think that's hard to do, don't you think, Vin?
Yeah, I mean, and yet, and that's always been. You could get into the argument about automatic qualifiers and these conferences that are going to get.
Then you got to look at the coaches.
They're going to take up spots. That
Who did you play? Points.
Maryland would rub them out, but they're going to get a spot, and Maryland's not.
Well,
but that's how it is. That's the system.
That's what it is.
That's the system.
You know who's got the most points per? You guys can elaborate better for the fans. Princeton on the VMI chart. They played more teams that are rated higher.
Did you just call it the VMI chart?
Here they go. Here they go again.
VMI chart.
Don't get me off my game. Don't do that. What is it called?
RPI.
RPI chart. They're the highest. Did you know that? Go look at the.
That changes quite a bit. Also goes up and down a little bit. But yes, they're high. But I usually look at you got that. Guy Gagliotti with Canes, they sponsor a poll, right? Every Monday it comes out early. You got that poll. I look at Quinn's poll. Quinn's pretty good. He's got a good finger on the pulse. He does his poll. But the one that seems to matter, because I think that's where the people who select and all come from, is the USILA poll, And if you look at that USILA poll right now, I think you got Syracuse at 4, and I think Army at 5. But when you look at the points, they're very close. Some of these teams are very close with the points and all. So let me see if I could pull it up. I'll tell you. Yeah, Cornell's 1 with 614 points. Ohio State 2, 581. Princeton 3, 557. And then you got Syracuse at 496, Army 495. So it's a 1 point. Those teams could have flip-flopped easily. And then you got Maryland at 6 with 457. Carolina 7, Penn State 8, Notre Dame 9, Harvard 10.
I start to think that the rankings don't matter as much anymore. It matters when you're really cutting hairs of those maybe last team at large and who's in and who's out. But you know all the teams that are in what we call one-team conferences, right?
Yeah.
There's a certain amount of them. Like, for example, you have
the conference Hofstra's in with Fairfield with
that's a one team.
Right? I don't know that more than one team's getting in that conference.
None of them are getting. They're only getting.
There's lesser conferences than that, but
there's the conference, the ASUN.
Yeah, no, those are one team. But like I'm saying, what I said before, you got some very good teams that are going to get left out. That theoretically, if they played any of those teams that won their conference, they'd smoke them.
Yeah. Well, listen, you could argue that the 6th team in the Big Ten could probably win some of those conferences fairly easily. But they're not in there, so they're not even going to be considered. They got to battle their way through the upper echelon.
Right.
And it gets to the point where you start to see when you get to the main. I look at the main conferences as ACC, Big Ten,
Ivy
Ivy League, Big East. I look at those four. Now,
I don't
none
even
of them,
think the Big East is as strong this year. I don't
but,
think.
but are they worthy of two, or do you
I
turning
don't
them
know.
into a one-team
I'm not so
conference?
sure they're worthy of two this year. But that'll depend on who wins it. But the Big East, the highest ranked Big East team,
Right,
who's the highest ranked? Georgetown. You got Georgetown at 13 on this coaches poll.
right.
They're 13, and that's it. You don't have anybody else from there. Then it says also receiving votes: Colgate, Virginia, Sacred Heart, Villanova. So Villanova theoretically from this would be like 24 and Denver's 25. Them beating each other is not going to move the needle much.
Well, do you see a conference that could get 3 teams in?
ACC, I think, could get 3. And I think Big Ten could get 3.
What are they taking total this year? 20 or 16?
17.
Yeah, 16. They got the play-in game. So it's 17 teams make it. Where'd he
Here
go?
he goes.
Let me see what.
Chiming on
There
you.
he goes.
Okay, I'll come back in a minute. All right, boy.
So, yeah, I mean, look, we're in the heat of it now because these are mostly all conference games right now, although this is an outlier. This Cornell Syracuse game is not a conference game, and they snuck it in there. So it's a good.
Which is a better win? Syracuse is a better win. If they win, it's better for them.
Wow. I mean, I got to say something. That shirt is a nice shirt Vinny's got on.
Yeah, you like that?
That shirt.
Old logo, the Flying
Well,
Dutchman?
that's the old. That is a legit shirt right there.
That's a shirt. Seth Tierney gave that to me. Coach Seth.
Man, look at that thing.
You got to put in. You got to put in 40 years to get this shirt.
Even though they took it on the chin to Fairfield. Listen, they could likely get into that tournament now.
Hofstra's going to win that league. Hofstra's going to win that conference. You watch. They're going to come back.
I'm rooting. I'm a fan. I'm a Hofstra fan. They look better. They look better to me this year than they have in the previous 7 or 8 years. They look good.
Look, there's some teams in there that, we're talking about teams maybe just making it, being a third team from a conference.
Right.
But who would want to be, a higher seed, and you end up playing one of those teams in the second round?
Right.
That's pretty tough.
Hey, Chris.
How are you, buddy?
Are you in town? I'm on a podcast with Vinny, but are you in town Thursday?
Look at this guy. We're muting him.
Cut him off,
I'm
Steven.
going to
Cut him
mute him.
off. Cut him off.
They're going to kill him.
Cut him off.
I'm muting him.
Mute him.
Because it's your boy, Vinny. But, yeah, I tell you, I'm very excited for this game. I keep going back in my head. How many more times am I going to see Gary Gate?
I think you got bigger problems.
Hopefully a lot more times.
I haven't seen excitement since they wanted to see what J-Lo was wearing on the runway. Everybody's got their eyes on Smalls. What is he wearing? What is he wearing?
Don't start that.
All the Cornell faithful.
I'm rooting for a tie. I'm rooting for a 12-12 tie.
No, there's no such thing.
And the thunderstorm comes, and Mother Nature comes and says, you know what? I've had enough.
If you wear any Cornell stuff, you'll never get another striped bass ever again.
Oh, no. If I wear a Cornell piece, he told me to cut off my 91-year-old mother who goes to his fish. Mike Leo's family, they own a fish market. And the father owns a big fish store. And we've been going there for 72 years. My mother's been going there. It's been passed on generation to generation. He told me if I wear something that says Cornell, he won't even cut my mother off from eating fish. Now, that's pretty harsh. Mike Leo, come on, man.
He's taking it serious. Listen, that's why you got to be.
It's a lot of fun, man. I really.
Smalls, you got to be agnostic. You got to be.
This could be some fun day, I'll tell you.
I'm going to give Smalley another question. Here's another question for you.
What time are you guys getting there?
Oh, we got to get there early.
What is early? He's saying early.
We got to be there by at least 12 or 1.
Wow, he's good now. Now you're talking.
Well, here's my question for you because it feeds into that narrative of when to get there. Last year, I have to say I was surprised. I've obviously played many years with my Cornell brethren and the Rusty Red and the Steelheads, and they're legendarily known to travel and have the tailgate, and they did. They had a fantastic tailgate, but I couldn't imagine the tsunami that was there last year with Notre Dame. I was like, wow, I've never seen Cornell outnumbered by people the way Notre Dame did last year.
Yeah.
Who has the larger tailgate, do you believe? Cornell? Will they come back strong and come big with the rock burgers? Or will Cuse and Fish and Spalina and all of those guys rise to the occasion and take them on? And
Oh, the Spalinas, they're looking to make this thing happen, man. This is pride now. You're talking about Long Island pride.
you're not
And you gotta listen, I gotta give them credit. I'm gonna take a lot of heat for the statement. The Spalinas are the new family in town, man. There's a new sheriff. Every one of their family members plays lacrosse.
I don't think I ever heard of them. They're new, right? That's the new
Can
family?
you can't even name all 5 kids. You can't even name all 5 kids if I put you on the spot, Stephen. He couldn't name 2. He don't even know the twins play. How many kids play on Syracuse?
There's
2.
right?
4.
There's 4 that play on Syracuse?
Yes, Vinny.
Spalinas?
Yes, it's got 4 kids
On Syracuse.
on Syracuse right now.
I
What's
didn't
their
know
name?
that. I thought only 2. I only thought
Well, hold on, Vinny. How many play on
What's their
Syracuse?
name?
No, how many? I'll answer that.
No, you challenged me and said I don't know their names, and you said there's 4, and I'm asking
We
you
don't
their
know.
names.
What's their name?
I can't pronounce their names. No, a bit. All right.
You're too funny.
No, listen.
You are too funny.
What are you talking about, Vinny? You don't even. Vinny, you won't answer it. Stop. How many play on the team? Vinny don't even know how many kids on the team.
I thought 2.
No. Steven,
I thought 3, not 4.
3?
hold on. You want me to make it?
There's Joey, and then there's the twins.
Joey, the twins, and the girl that's going to be playing.
The girl's on the team. The girl's on the team. Who's not even going there. She's going to Clemson.
Actually, I'm sorry. I stand to be corrected to the fans. She did re-decommit. So, I mean.
She decommitted. Calm down. Go take an aspirin. Where's Cheryl? Tell her give you something to drink.
You just killed me. You're right.
And when he's going with 4, he's going with a girl on the boys' team.
I'm sorry. The girl is playing for Clemson University. You're right. So there's 3. I'm sorry. Stephen, there is 3. There's actually twins. They actually are twins, Vinny.
There's a defenseman. Brett.
There's a defenseman. The other kid, I believe, is a midi. Sometimes he faces off.
I've never seen him take a
he
face-off.
plays-
He's a short
he's
stick
team midi.
mid.
Yeah, that's what he plays. D-man.
And then Joey said, okay,
He
there's
made
3.
a huge
Okay,
play
you're right, 3.
in the Virginia game. He made a huge play when they were only up 1, and the other team cleared the ball, and he made a nice wrap check and took the ball away from the guy, and they ended up scoring, and that's when they pulled away. That was a big play in that game he made.
That's great.
You don't often get it his due, but he's a good.
Well, he's got to come. Big Joe's he's got to come correct for the tailgate. He's going to be ready.
They got 110 people in the Spalina family. I'm not kidding you. They got 30.
I want to
They
try.
got 5 children, and he's got 4 kids.
What's on the menu on that side? We got to stop. I want to know what's on the menu there.
Oh, they got spinach.
The Cornell guys.
So what are you going to do? You're going to wear one of those shirts like when parents have a kid on each team, a half and half shirt. Maybe you should get one of those. You're in the business. Why don't you wear the shirt? You're in the business.
I'm going to wear the USA shirt.
No, why don't you do that, Smalls? That would be
my 1982 world champion.
You take that sweatshirt, you get the Cornell sweatshirt.
He's right.
Cut it in half, and get it sewn, and it's half
That's
Cornell.
not a bad idea.
Syracuse. That's a great idea.
I got to think about this now.
You could make that happen. You're in the business.
What should I name it?
It's only Tuesday. You got till Saturday. I could do that. I could sew it.
I got fish placing orders. I got people putting orders in now.
Yeah.
Last minute. But with all due respect, It's the game of the century. It really is. Game of the century. I can't believe it. Even I got Rodney Dumpson calling me,
How are
coming
you
down.
getting the game of the century? They're not even, neither team is undefeated.
No, but what do you mean undefeated?
Well,
You got
usually
first place team.
usually a game of the century or a game like that is where two undefeateds meet, and some's got to give.
You got the greatest legend, the coach. The greatest legend coming.
We're spoiled because, Hofstra's going to get the quarterfinals again. So we're going to get another 2 games that are equal to this game, pretty much, And
that'll be the game of the century next week. You know him. He's a front runner.
I'm talking about football. No, you're not going to see a game like this. I'm telling you.
Well, hopefully it'll be that kind of game. Hopefully the game is
My
close.
prediction, the team who wins this game wins the national championship.
All right.
Put that down, I said it.
You may be
The team
right
that
about
wins this game will win the national championship.
Okay.
Put it down, I said it.
I wrote it down because the way you've been picking games, it's probably correct.
Vinny!
there's going to be an asterisk.
I hope I can eat at this game. I want a rock burger. Should I call Rock up now? See if the rock burgers.
The Rock
They're all nervous. They can't set up.
No, they can set up. Nobody's
The
going to
meat's being seasoned. It's being seasoned, right?
Steven got a good point. I like Steven's act. Hey, Steven. He's going to be in Montauk. He can't make it. Chris Hines going to be in Montauk.
Yeah, he's away.
Thursday, he can't make it. Friday, he's setting up over there. Are you going to be helping him or?
No? They got their operation.
We'll be in the way.
Their operation. You got to let them do what they do. They're gonna. It's gonna be great. I just think that people should get their tickets early. I have a feeling there's gonna be a big crowd there. If hopefully the weather really holds out, because I saw a little rain like in the morning, but then it's supposed to clear up. So I think if it starts to.
How are we getting tickets? O'Connell said he can get them for us.
No, we're set already. Me and Vinny.
Got him?
Yeah, we're all done. You don't need a ticket. You go anywhere you want anyway. You're like a celebrity. What do you mean?
Timmy told me I couldn't get in there. I said, Timmy, I used to sneak into the World Series games. I can't get a ticket to get in. I can't get. No, can we actually get press passes out? I have them. I got them made up. Actually, I have press passes. I stick the little thing in there.
Your own press pass?
I've had them made for years.
My God, this guy's.
But I used to go to shows. I used to make up a press pass. It looked just, I swear to God. You got to have the right size, too. Then you slip something in there like it looks like. No one ever questions when you got one of those.
Maybe you should.
I think you gotta wear either the 50-50 shirt or you gotta wear some USA gear.
Well, I only played on.
You only played on the 82 World Team. Wear that.
What are you guys wearing? Big shots? You guys got. Who are you favoring? Who are you favoring? That's not nice. Fish was very good to you guys. To sell out Fish. You guys are bad human beings.
I gotta come out in my Cornell gear. I think I'm coming.
I'm coming.
What?
Coming in my outfit gear.
Rusty Red Man.
I'll probably go to the
Vinny won't. Vinny's afraid. Vinny won't stand up for he talks about everybody. Steven, what's Vinny gonna do?
What do I
Vinny,
talk
what
about?
color Vinny gonna do, Steven?
I love when he makes these statements. I talk about everybody. Who do I talk about? I
didn't say you talk about anybody.
You just said you talk about everybody.
What time's the Hofstra game?
I think it's 12 o'clock.
Yeah, I think they're playing.
It's early.
Who are they playing?
I think the girls play. That's a good question. They're playing.
That's a good doubleheader.
No, Hofstra's got a. Let me see. Let me look it up.
That wouldn't
Hey,
be.
Steven, what are you actually getting? A ticket or a press pass?
We're getting a ticket.
Care of it for me.
You want a press pass?
We're all set.
Where do you think you're going with the press pass? Where you going? You're on the field.
Vinny, if it starts snoring and raining, I'm going up to this.
This guy wants to go in the locker room.
No, I'm going up this suite because you could have a torrential rainstorm, and I'm going up in that fucking suite. That's my turf. I won a national championship there.
There's no suite.
They have up in the box. They have a box. They do have a box up there.
There's a press box, but it's not very.
But if it's raining like cats and dogs?
The last guy they won in there is you. They're going to be the guy's doing the game for television. He's going to hear you in the background laughing and making noise and talking loud like you always do.
Screw up the broadcast.
I'm going to screw up and help the broadcast.
You're going to help it?
All right, so guys, if you're so sure about winning,
go up to the press box. they'll have the TV up on there, and all of a sudden Cheryl will come walking by. Then he'll get 4 phone calls.
They're playing Drexel. They're playing Drexel.
Drexel at what time does it say?
It says doesn't really say a time on here.
So is this a claim both you guys are going for Big Red? Is that what I'm seeing now? I don't want to call it for Vinny, but you seem to be going for Big Red, Steven.
Yeah, I'm going Big Red. That's my team.
Whoa!
I'm Rusty Red. I gotta go.
Give me a score.
I go Cornell 14, Syracuse 12.
Whoa! Holy cow!
Hofstra's at 1.
And they're going to cover. Vinny, you want an early pick or you want to hold out, Vinny?
No.
You want to get an early pick here?
I got to think about it. I got to see where he's getting.
Oh, Vinny!
Listen,
Vinny, oh, man!
I hope nobody's looking at the picks I make.
So really,
What are you talking about?
Wait a minute. Are we going to have?
No, we're not picky. What?
Are we going to have a double header this week? Are we going to go right from the box at Hofstra?
We can
right
go to
over
Hofstra
the
first
tailgate?
and then go and shoot over. We can watch.
But now I'm confused.
We can watch the first half.
Why are you going to be at Hofstra? I'm very confused
They
now.
got a game Saturday.
So you're going?
Why not?
Yeah, we could go for the first half.
I didn't know. You didn't say anything. This is the first I'm hearing about
He
it.
just said we were finding out what time the game started. It's 1 o'clock.
Okay.
You could go
If you
the
wanted
first
to
half.
get your steps in, you
Yeah,
probably
walk
could
over to
walk from
Hofstra and
Hofstra.
walk down.
Right.
It's close. What are you talking about? It's like a half.
I'm dying to hear Vinny's pick of the century. Is Vinny going to go against the Gates? Is he going to go against the long, great friend of his, Gary Gate, which I believe might be coach of the year? If Gary Gate wins this game, it'd be coach of the year. Go ahead, Vince.
We're going to have with us Pat McCabe also.
Whoa!
Yeah, I got to balance out that. I got to balance out the.
You're going against Pat McKay? That's horrible, Steven. You're not even a good person anymore. I loved you up until today. Come on. You can withdraw your pick, and I'll let you pick later.
Oh, I have all my red stuff. I'm going to get my rusty red.
He's sick. Vinny's a little crazy.
Pull over.
I don't know. Dr. Hondo's not going to, your dog doctor's not going to be too happy, Bob Henriksen, with you small.
Don't start that like this.
Syracuse.
We're going to see.
I owe him 10 grand. He fixed 2 of my
Wait till
dogs.
Howie Balkan gets a hold of you. Wait until Knocknees gets a hold of you. Wait.
I need some law work from Howie. Don't say nothing. I helped Howie.
Yeah, you're going to panic. You're going to panic when you get there and you see all of your friends on the other side and say you're walking around in Syracuse gear. Oh,
I don't know yet. I might call it a tie.
I told you. Who?
Dennis Goldstein?
Dennis is coming, isn't he?
Yeah.
Dennis is coming. Yeah. Timmy, Liz Rock, Hair Pie. They'll all be there.
The whole crew's coming. The whole crew.
Vinny, how big will the Rock Burger weigh?
Rock's slim
Is
down.
it a pound or close to like 3/4 of a pound?
We could get him on. We really should have. I'm going to have to do a little side segment on the Rock Burger, but I'm pretty sure the secret to the Rock Burger. Do you know what the secret to the Rock Burger is, Smalls?
What?
I think there's like lamb mixed in there.
Yeah, he throws a little.
I never thought of that.
I think
that's actually
there's some lamb in there.
That's just not a burger. He throws a lot of things into it. The seasoning, the lamb, whatever he does. But he had a big line there last year. You had to get there, but he took care of everybody. He was on that grill for about 3 hours.
That's a lot of money, man, for a burger. What do you think those burgers go for if he had to sell them?
But he was.
That's a $10. That's probably.
Well, I tell you what's more is it's probably a lot of prep work when you got to get the chopped meat and the lamb and everything else.
He was making them.
I thought about that.
Yeah, listen, he's a great.
I'd like to give him an award.
He's one of the most generous people. Generous of heart. I'm not even talking about all the things he gives. But he's just
Steven, are we getting there at the same time and walking around with the mic a little bit?
Definitely. Without a doubt.
That's why we got to be downfield level.
So, Steven, you have, are you set up right?
He's got the mics. Yeah, he's got the mics.
Got the mics.
He's going to charge the mics.
Oh, wait. I got
the mic. I ask a question. Everything's like, I got the mic.
Well, what's the answer to that? You asked a question and he said he's got the mic. What do you want the answer? What do you want the answer to be?
No, but last time I asked.
Yeah, they just answered you.
Steven, didn't I go on the mic and it didn't work or something?
It wasn't charged.
Yeah.
You let it run out.
Right. You let it run out down
Me
in
again.
Florida.
You guys are hating on
Killed the
me
battery
today.
on it. You killed the battery with nonsense. You disappeared. We looked around. He put the thing on you. He turned.
Here we
it
go.
on.
Let's go, Billy, go.
We looked around. We said, "Where did Smalley go?" We were gonna interview Coach Seaman.
Oh, here we
Next
go.
thing you know, you want to talk about rock burgers. He's over there with an Angus burger in Florida at the counter. Came back with one in each hand, and the battery dead. He disappeared for like an hour and a half.
Do people even understand logistically to produce the things we have with a guy like Smalley, Mr. Reliable? They don't even understand. This is like a miracle.
Why are you dark right now? Look, he's dark.
He's a diva.
Steven's in the shadow.
He's a
I do
diva.
I do
Smalley
need
is
to-
a diva. He tells you
Wait, I
flat
got
out.
some wet. I got
Don't
some
invite
wet.
him to an indoor game unless it's courtside. Don't even bother inviting him unless it's courtside. If you're going to go to any special games, if you're going to go Final Fours, quarterfinals, finals, whatever, if you're not in a suite, don't even call him. That's it. He's a prima donna. We got
It's
a
going
prima
to be
donna
hard
on
for
our
him.
hands.
It's going to be hard for him because like at the St. John's game, they make a bucket. Every basket he's jumping
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
He can't jump up either goal. What if somebody's going to look? They're going to
Oh
say,
yeah, I think
know?
he's going to run across the field. He's got to do something. He'll be doing something.
I think we should be interviewing each coach after the first half, after like that kind of stuff.
I think you should be helping them, coach.
We don't have that kind of access.
Let me ask you a question. I know that, we're talking about Joe Spallina, and he's a new GM of.
I could be a head coach in lacrosse.
Through his many lacrosse endeavors, he's now the GM of the Redwoods.
Right.
And they hired the coach, the faceoff guy. That was a faceoff guy many years. Kelly, right? What happened? Smalley didn't get a look. He might have missed the boat. He could have interviewed Smalley.
I could be a head coach in lacrosse.
Or
easily.
GM or head coach. Maybe both.
I'd probably be a better head coach.
But I think Joey Spallina should have brought you in for the Redwoods.
You know who my first hire would be? Rock. I cook rock burgers every week. Put some special stuff in the rock burger. Guys, go out and play. Go out and play the game. Coaching's overrated. You need the players. You get the players, you win. Everybody play for me. I guarantee him a rock burger every week. I'd hire Rock my first pick. I'd set aside, I'd allocate so much money to start an NIL, which lacrosse doesn't even know about. They don't even know how to do it, and they got the money to do it. They don't know how to do it, and they don't know what they're doing. And that's a fact. Because the teams would be doing it right now. And there's some teams that if they do it, will change in course of time. I'm telling you. You get 4 or 5 players.
Next wave. I mean, listen.
I think it'll happen one day.
NIL for lacrosse.
What?
What team are you going to be for the NIL lacrosse? Why don't you set Hofstraub? Why don't you?
I could do that. Yeah. Like I don't want to caught.
Who would be your team?
I don't want to caught the horse before the horse. You know what I'm saying?
You ain't not caught in the horse.
That is some expression. Caught the horse before the horse.
I'm really excited though. I really am, guys. This weekend, I think it's really good. I really do. I've seen a lot of games, a lot of good Final Fours, no doubt. But I think this is really special. This is really. I'm actually excited. I have no basketball.
I think from watching, I think that Syracuse's goalie is coming on. He's played much better lately, I thought. And I think that might give him a little edge. Cornell has to, I think Cornell has to outscore you, and they can. Their offense is potent. They got, that Cursed is a beast. And, of course, Little Goldstein feeding the other guys. I mean, they got a lot of weapons. They're one of the few teams that, in my opinion, is as deep as Syracuse. Syracuse has a lot of weapons too, but, I always talk about how deep they are, but Cornell is just as deep. They got some.
Hey, Curse, over or under 5 goals? That's a good question. Over or under 5 goals, Stephen? Go. What do you think? Over or under for Curse? I say over. That kid will get 7, 8 goals.
7, 8 goals. That's a banner.
Well, just
5 is an unbelievable number.
Just a little aside. He's at 214 right now.
Could he break the goalie? Was it 7? He breaks it, right?
No, he's at
Needs a couple more
214. The
games.
record is 224.
But he's breaking that record. That record's toast.
No, he's going to break it. He's got plenty
Who
of games.
held the record for less time? Cormier or O'Keefe?
Cormier, 1 year. He's not even a full year. He might break it before the full year's over. Listen, it's all, look, if they go on a run, this guy could hit 240, 250, the way he's been scoring. He's a goal scoring machine.
Hey, Vinny, where do you see? I know it's a touchy subject with you and Steven or whatever, because I know your thoughts or whatever. But I love the Goldstein family very well, dear. Where do you see Goldstein fitting in this game? And what does he have to have for them to be victorious? Does he have to score more than 2 goals and 2 assists? Goldstein, to be effective?
Go ahead. You say, Steven.
I think I don't put a number of points. I mean, Ryan Goldstein is one of the highest IQ level kids on the whole field. He knows his physical abilities. He doesn't play over himself. And if things go right, if the team is playing well, he can end up with 7, 8 assists. And all he needs to be that distributor to massage the ball around to the different guys, put it in guys' sticks, let them finish. And he does that very, very well. He can rack up points fast, with especially.
So you think over 4 with the points they need him to get that, they win over 4.
He's going to get over 4 points. There's no doubt.
Wow.
He could step out of the car and get over 4 points.
Wow.
He's because he knows how to play. He knows.
All right, so that's why you're picking him.
And he's playing with very good guys that do finish when he does get them the ball. But maybe they do something outside the box. Maybe you start to, one of the things, the way he redirects the ball, Vin, do you ever think that Syracuse maybe shut him off? Take Goldstein out of the game and make other guys, handle the ball. Don't let him be that guy who gets that pass after the initiation. Let the guy, maybe they beat you for some one-on-one goals, but you don't get torched on all of those.
That's an interesting point.
Well, he's look, he's an excellent facilitator. He's a pretty good finisher. When they get him the ball in spots, he's pretty good at putting it in the cage. He still can be better at that. I'm sure he'll tell you, be the first to tell you. I don't have to tell you that. Yeah, he's clearly a key guy in their offense. Kirst can do both. I mean, he can feed, but you really want to be getting Kirst shots. I mean, if you're going to get Kirst 10 shots in a game, 10 to 12 shots in a game, he's going to have 5 goals. I don't see him as a guy who can shoot 2 for 12 or anything like that. If he takes 10 to 12 shots, I see him getting 5.
Would you do something?
And they got other guys like that, coming down from the midfield.
But you see, but that might be the way. Would you maybe play a defense where you say, what we're going to do? We're really going to extend on this attack. We're not even going to let them be an outlet for the midfielders. Let the midfielders beat our midfielders. Let's see if they could actually beat our guys and hold to slide. Don't slide that much, and don't let them.
That's a preference,
Yeah.
Look, I mean, what I thought was interesting, and we'll see how they play it this week, because maybe Cornell doesn't have a guy who's as good one-on-one. So, watching the game last week with Joey Spallina, right? So he had that light was covering him on Notre Dame. One-on-one, that kid is very tough, So it was almost the whole first quarter. Joey was just getting it, moving it on, getting it, moving it on. He didn't really even attempt much trying to beat that guy with the ball, trying to beat him and shoot or even beat him and feed. He was more just being a facilitator. And then it got, I think his first goal he scored got into the second quarter. They got an extra man. They hit him with a skip pass. He shot a nice low ball in. Okay, you can't blame the guy covering him on that. It's an extra man play. But the next 2 goals he scored, it looked like they used Joey in a different way. he's usually behind the goal. Here
Right,
he
yeah,
was
on
more
the
on the
wing.
wing. He
Yeah.
was up, and he cut through. One time he cut the second goal he scored. Not actually was his third goal. He went straight across the field, and nobody went with him. It was unbelievable. And the guy threw him a nice pass, and that's where I think, if he can be convinced that he could be as successful scoring without the ball like that, and they use him that way against certain teams, then I think that's when Syracuse is at their best, because they got a lot of other capable guys who could carry the ball.
I would take the approach if I'm coaching, I'm the head coach, and I'm going all out. First quarter, I would just double curse the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see you beat me, and then I'll switch. I want somebody else to score, let you beat me, and then see what I can do. I might have to adjust that. I would double curse the whole first quarter.
Listen, I'm not disagreeing with you when he has the ball, but the truth is he scores on a lot of assisted goals. Like, they're passing the ball to him, and it's like it happens in a second. Like, the
A
team.
lot of loose situations today, but I would say
he's not. It's not so much loose. Well, he's deadly in that. But I'm saying that when it's 6-on-6 offense, he may not be the guy holding the ball. He's not even in the pick play. Totally off ball, and things are happening somewhere else. And then they break the defense down, and then they throw it to Kurst. And now when he gets that, if he's shooting it, he puts it in. If he's not shooting it, but they're off bound, the guy's taking a bad approach to him, he'll run right through somebody. So they're being very effective with their offense, and he doesn't force the game, which is what I like. He lets the game come to him. He really does. It's not like, if he doesn't have a goal or a point early on, he just knows, he bides his time. He knows eventually it's going to happen, and that's what happened in the Brown game. He didn't have much in that Brown game. Brown had them. I think the score was 9-9. I think they eventually pulled away. But I think, he didn't score early in that game.
The other thing Brown did is they effectively moved some zone in there.
Yeah. The zone. But, he could be a zone buster because he's got range with his shot,
Right.
And they got other guys that got range with their shots. They got some heavy ball shooters. That's the same.
I don't know. Syracuse doesn't strike me as a zone team, but I wouldn't be surprised if they threw it in there every now and then. I think it throws you off a little bit. It makes you have to figure out the possession. You just can't just beat it automatically. You got to move the ball around a little bit.
Yeah, I think that
down a little bit.
I mean, the faceoff guy for Syracuse got the best of the Notre Dame faceoff guys, which usually, that doesn't happen. Lynch is very good, but he didn't take all of them. You get the ones you have a violation, you can't take the next one. But they won the faceoff battle, Syracuse.
But if you remember last year, the Cornell Notre Dame game, one of the reasons why that was such a great game was the Cornell kid, and it wasn't the kid Cascadin. It was like, because he was hurt, I think. It was another kid. Won all the faceoffs against Lynch because he was hurt.
Yeah, he was.
And that kept them in that game. Now you have a real battle because this Syracuse kid is really good. And the Cornell guys are really good.
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to be who wins the faceoffs is going to be telling in this game. Also.
If somebody, look, and I think the wing play is going to come in big. I think,
the faceoff favors Syracuse by a little bit. I would say 6. I would say a little over 50%. I would say for Syracuse.
Well, 50% a team can live with, but you just don't want to be where a guy goes on a run, which allows teams to string goals together.
Right.
If a guy all of a sudden gets hot and he wins 5 and 6 in a row, and you score on 3-4 of those possessions, changes the whole game. And at the end of the day, you might balance it out later. But, from a face-off standpoint, if you could stay 50-50 and the possessions are somewhat even, then the game can really be tight. Both goalies are capable. If I had to give maybe a little bit of an edge in the goal right now, the way the guy from Syracuse is playing, I give them a little edge there. So, but not much. So between that face-off goalie, which is so important, that's very close, So I don't know. I mean, what was the final last year? He said 17-16.
Yeah. It was
We
either
may
17,
see.
16 or 18, 17.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was hot. That's high scoring. Come on, that's a high scoring game. I mean, if we get a game like that this year, that it's going to be incredible.
Sleeping? Is he sleeping?
No, he's all right. He's his narcolepsy's kicking in. He's got a little narcolepsy.
I'm just thinking about how nice if Cornell ever won it. Just I was thinking about the young kid, the coach. He's a nice kid. He stays in his lane. What's his last name? The coach of Connor Busick. That'd be so nice. He won Coach of the Year if he wins.
He's done a
You want
great
to hear a funny story, Smalls? And it has to do a little bit with Connor Busick. I remember seeing this. When Vinny and I, this was 2002, Lizards. We played a semifinal game at Hofstra, pouring rain, absolutely pouring rain, torrential downpour. They stopped the game even at one point in time. Anyway, we won the game, and then we ended up losing to Baltimore, the Bayhawks, the next week. But why I bring it up was I remember watching that tape, and it was broadcast, and at some point in the game, MLL is like giving away like tickets or whatever. They were either giving a prize away or something, and they're like, and the winner of the prize, I don't know, might have been like 12 years old or something. Connor Busick from Cincinnati.
Yeah,
he was the winner of the prize in the game.
That's funny.
Now he's the coach at Cornell. Thought it was funny.
Yeah, it's
Busick
cool.
was a great player, great player.
Yeah.
And he's doing a great
I'll tell you, it's an interesting year, guys. It's really coming down. It's a little funny. I can't tell. It's kind of,
Will we see? Will there be a Mike O'Neill?
You know what? I'm looking at that hat you got on. I think that's the right hat for you. That's like a Where's Waldo. We could do a thing at the stadium like Where's Smalley.
Right.
And you leave that hat on, and this way people got to locate you. We'll do something on the phone. Give them a T-shirt if they can find you.
I wish I had a helmet that fit me, man, back in the day. I would have been some player.
Yeah.
No, I didn't have a helmet that could fit me. It's terrible, man.
They had to use a shoehorn.
Oh, God. And let me tell you, the worst thing is to have a helmet that's too fucking small. Oh, my
You
gosh.
have a headache the whole time.
No, it's really, it's terrible to do something like that. It's like putting yourself in a vice, taking a vice and just squeezing your head. That thing was, I told you, those helmets are only good for 7.5, like,
Go ahead, Steve. I was going to say my takeaway from this whole thing I'm going to remember from this broadcast is Smalley's prediction that the winner of this game on Saturday is the national champ.
Yeah, that's true.
I'll stand by that.
Let me give you some other games that you just should keep an eye on this weekend. Virginia, Notre Dame.
Yeah,
that's a tough game. It has implications. Carolina, Duke.
Carolina, Duke.
Carolina.
That's an important game. The first game you just said, just my opinion, I think that, well, maybe I shouldn't say because we didn't do our picks, but I would say I think it's going to be, because with the spread, it's different anyway.
Yeah, that's the thing.
1.5. That's 1.5.
I think that's going to be the nail in the coffin for Virginia.
So you're picking Duke?
Yeah, I think Duke beats them.
I'd love to see Virginia make a...
What do you mean? Notre Dame's playing Virginia.
Notre Dame, Virginia. Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame beats Virginia.
I thought it was Duke, but it's Virginia's got a tough schedule. They're really on the ropes.
No, listen, those teams, Maryland, Virginia, they don't have any. They don't have.
Here's a good one.
Meatballs on the schedule.
How about this one? Denver, Georgetown. That's a good game.
Yeah,
that'll be a good game to see.
That's a must-win for Georgetown.
This is definitely a highlighted game. Maryland, Ohio State, huge game. I mean, it's more important for Maryland. Maryland, if they lose, they'll have lost 3 Big Ten games.
Yeah, they're on the ropes.
That's crazy. Could you theoretically put Maryland in the tournament if they're not even in the conference tournament?
I said this before.
Yes.
You could do it?
I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know.
Because they have, if you go by the RPIs, which I believe I'm learning.
A little bit they do that. Remember last year?
And
remember
I don't see why not.
Wait a minute. If Rutgers has beaten them, right?
Yeah.
And if Michigan has beaten them,
Right.
and Ohio State has beaten them, and they don't even make the Big Ten tournament, you think they could get in?
I said to you, I made a statement.
They do have they have good wins. But I think if they lose all 3 of those games, I think they got a problem, because then you asked before how many.
So it only matters conference? Is that what you're saying?
4 Big Ten teams going to go into the tournament?
Well,
maybe they
5?
5? You're going to put 5 Big Ten teams in the tournament?
But
that's a little crazy.
Right one thing I'm thinking when he's bringing up the Smalley, the VMI or the RPI, he calls it the VMI. Remember, last year they pretty much went right down a lot of the RPI.
Yeah.
If Maryland can maintain an RPI in the top 10, regardless of those games or where they falls out, they're likely to put them in. And if you remember, that was a controversy last year.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Maryland, why are they in so high, or where they were seated? And meanwhile, they went to the championship game.
Well, look at it this way, right? So I don't see the Ivies being more than a 2-team league. Okay. I see them just as 2 teams if they're lucky, And yet they went down to and played the ACC, that ICC Ivy Challenge. They won a few of those games, didn't they?
Well,
did they win?
You got Princeton and you got Cornell and you got Harvard. So one of those teams is out, is based on, you're saying 2 teams. That's tough.
Yeah, Harvard, wow. Harvard, listen, let them play the games. I don't want to.
You got to play the games. There's a few more games that have to shake the way out.
Well, all you could hope for when you forget all this, we're just talking. But at the end,
you got to win the next.
You got to win.
If you want to get in, you got to win the next 3 out of 4 games, guys.
Yeah, you got to win.
If you're on the bustle, you got to win 3 out of 4 games. Come on.
We got to see the biggest comparison that's going to have to be made this weekend is, what is Syracuse coming up to combat the Rock Burger? What's going against the Rock Burger?
Well, he's coming with.
Is it a fish?
Well, I'll tell you what. They got shrimp. They got K.
He's got lobster tails.
He's got lobster tails and K.
Fish is coming strong.
Fish is coming heavy, baby.
Man,
he put about $25,000 into it.
Man, this could be a bad. We're definitely gonna have to. You're gonna have to review the lobster tails.
That's why you ain't getting none of that food. You go with your bullshit, your jacket, all your gear.
Listen,
the last line.
We gotta compare. We have to compare.
That's why everybody likes Vinny. Vinny doesn't play the cards. He plays it even. He's friends with everybody. He don't care.
Now we're picking teams based on the menu.
That's right.
I'll be honest with you. I want a lobster tail. Then I want to go to the Rock
I'm with you. Oh, he'll be melting the butter for you to pour it on.
I'm going to have to call him now. The party's back on because I thought it was going to rain. They were going to bring sandwiches because they say Banana Nose will be riding around the parking lot checking for, that's what I hear.
Well,
Steven says
no,
but
let them just do what they're going to do.
Hey, Vinny, in your opinion, you think they'll be riding around? Do you agree with me or Steven?
I don't know. What do they say in the Bears news? Bad news Bears. Let the kids play. Let the kids play.
You're gonna have a.
So, Steven, where is your badge getting in, Steven? You asked for badges. Yeah. Nobody came out with a badge.
Like the movie. It's like the movie. We don't need no stinking badges. What do you worry about badges? They can't even handcuff you. Your wrists are too big. They can't get handcuffs on you.
I'm looking to do 6 months, Vinny.
I know. You want to get away for a little bit.
I need to do a little time.
Now,
Put in the winter, though.
The last thing I'm going to say is...
Look, they gave me an FBI card, the FBI shield for my car.
The picks need
Brand new FBI.
The picks need to be in this week. They need to be in before Friday.
Do we have your word? You're going to get your picks in?
Yes,
That means your picks have to be Thursday. You have
No, you can't do that,
You have
Steven.
to.
I can't. Come on. I got Weinberg. I'll be shot in the morning. I got people after me as is.
We
Well,
give
how
you the
long does
games,
it
you gotta
take you to
pick
do
the
these
games.
picks? Maybe that's
I
why
like
you're
to
winning.
look at him a little
Maybe,
bit. I do look.
Listen, maybe there's something to his method. He's a student of. I just pick them. I go right down the list. Bing, 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 bing. I do like Trump. Bing, 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 bing. And Smalley is investigating these things.
No, I listen. I am taking a little pride in it. I think I have some of the games. You know what I was thinking the other day too. When you see a spread, now that you're into the season, you guys will agree with this. I used to think the spread is so big, but last year we had a team. Who's the Hampton was playing, and I saw it like 19. I said, all right, I'll go for the 19. Then I said to myself, 19 goals is a lot of goals, and the score was 18-1, I think. And they didn't cover. I was like, this is like crazy.
There have been games with big spreads that didn't cover that.
No, when you start to look at it, you go, a team can't walk out and get 2 goals?
Might be
Like Grandma Tilly can score.
it might be harder to pick the game that's a 10-goal spread than
Right.
it is for the game that's 1.5.
They're all tough with these spreads. I can't.
No, these spreads are tough.
I see most of the other things I see online. They're picking games. They're just picking the winner of games.
Hey, Steven, do you think that you could have made a mistake on any of my stuff where I might be leading by more than I
Here
am?
he goes. Here he
No.
goes.
I asked it saying,
In fact, you're lucky we didn't penalize you
Yeah.
for not getting your picks in.
He was penalizing you for not getting your back. I said, nah, let it go. You don't want to seem like sore losers. He's ahead.
I keep it to Friday for Steven. What, Vinny?
Thursday. It's on record. If your picks are not in before Thursday,
Steven, you're being retarded. I got a fucking whole week. It's Wednesday. I got people coming in from the whole country. I can't be doing this.
No, you got people coming in.
I got people flying in for this.
get your
my
picks.
God.
Get your picks in.
So Thursday, I'm going to send out the thing for you two guys. You guys know a guy named Keo? I got Keo somehow. Is that your friend? Might be your
Hey,
friend.
Keo!
Keo's coming. I don't know how. He was on some thread with. I'm on so many threads. I don't even know what threads I'm on. I answer other threads. They said, "Oh, Smalls, you're on another thread." I'm on some. But Thursday at 12, between 12:30 and 1, we got the big lacrosse luncheon at Cipollini's.
Okay.
And we got AKA Fish. He's the big surprise. JP, the face. He's the face. Baby can't walk. He has a face. Tom Brady lookalike.
All right. What else, Steven?
All right.
You're going to wrap it up?
Shout out.
We're
Shout out.
wrapping up. We'll get our
Shout
picks
outs.
in. They'll be in the
Shout
shout outs. Exactly. Let's get a shout out. Come on, Smalls. Here he goes. He's answering the phone again.
No, I didn't do anything.
Shout
It's
out.
on my phone.
Yeah, that's
Here's
your
your
phone.
shout.
Right away, you're blaming me. Right away, get on Smalley. Shit.
That's his bird.
Chaminade.
That's
It already
his bird.
shipped, Chaminade.
Go ahead. Who's your shout out?
All right. My shout out is to, I have to give it to my mother and father today
That's nice.
because they were just wonderful people, and they grew up. They were hard workers, and they believed in us. Grew up in Levittown, a small town. My father was a Chaminade guy. My mom went to Hempstead High School. My mom is now 91. They did so much for us, so much things for the kids to succeed. And I have to say, she still calls me every day, tells me what I do wrong. Mom, I will. Mom, I made it. Mom, I made it. You didn't make nothing yet. Did you make your bed? She told me today. You made it. Did you make your bed? I'm 60 years old telling me, did you make your bed today? So my wife doesn't have to make it. This is the stuff my mother tells me at 91. Keeping me in check and in line all these years.
And she hasn't
My
trained
mother
you
following the
yet.
goats.
All these years, she hasn't trained you yet.
No, she's the greatest. And they were amazing dancers. The Lindy, the hopscotch. They could get on the floor. They used to go to Teddy Pendergrass concerts. They're the most wonderful people in my life. And with that, no matter what I do, I'm super successful because I have the greatest parents. And I wish everybody in life has parents that they can look up to and live to, which I'm pretty sure you guys had. So Joe and Barbara Smalley, love you. You're the goats.
That's good.
Go ahead, Steven.
I'm going to go, sticking with, he was getting the call from Chaminade. My shout out is going to go to Jack Moran. Smalley had him buried. He got a little banged up. Smalley was saying he might have been out for the year.
No, I thought he was sick.
But he rose from the ashes like a phoenix and was.
So he came back.
And
he was supposed to stay out of the game. He got on crutches.
That's what you call.
Then he saw him.
That's what you call a hard man. Lupo would call that a hard man. He would say, "There's a hard man there. Nothing's going to slow him down."
I give him a lot of credit. That's a hard man.
I wish him the best of luck on his trip. I hope he has a great trip. I hope it's successful.
Unbelievable that he came out and did that.
So my shout out is to Jack Moran of Chaminade.
Vinny Sombrado, let's hear who you got. The GOAT.
I'm going to give
four-time all-world player. Go, Vinny, go.
I'm going to give a shout out to the UConn women's basketball team for winning the national championship. They went through what might look like a dry spell for a while, but he's king of the mountain again, Gino Auriemma. They had a phenomenal year, and they peaked at the right time, and that championship wasn't even close. Those last two games they played, UCLA and South Carolina, the final four games, wow, they looked like a buzzsaw. They were unbelievable.
They won by 30 and almost 40.
Yeah,
that's insane.
You gotta hand it to them.
Paige Becker.
They really got it going. They got people coming back. This guy, he just marches on. I don't know how much longer he's going to coach, but I think that was his 12th national championship.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yes, John Wooden had 11.
Yeah, and they had a couple girls on the team, including Becca's. Paige, she tore her ACL after her first year with all the notoriety. Then she gets hurt. She persisted. The other girl who got the MVP for the game, she was another one, injured, missed 2 full seasons. She was phenomenal, got the MVP of the game. They really couldn't help thinking, though, about, when watching UConn win that, I'll give a little shout out that, Kobe Bryant, who loved his daughter to death, that little Gianna, I think her name was, that, was the apple of his eye, that was a basketball player, and her goal was to play for UConn. I was thinking about that at the end of the game, thinking that she might have been a freshman on this team, had not that tragedy, and, that's life, it's crazy, but that's why you got to make the best of it while you can, because anything can happen. And, for those girls at UConn, like I said, getting that chip, that was important for them. And, for like Gino Auriemma said, and it holds true for a lot of lacrosse and everything else. He's won enough time. He said, my life's not changing. I won 11, I won 12. He goes, but for these girls, this team, that they can say they were national champs, it means a lot, and he's right. So, congratulations to them. And
also the coach on the other team is very graceful in losing, the girl from South Carolina.
Yeah, Dawn says she's amazing, what she does.
Very nice girl, man, really.
Yeah.
She's worked hard her whole life as an athlete, and then she got fortunate in coaching, and one like that is extraordinary for what she's done.
Yeah.
Girl.
Yeah.
We're going to wrap it up. Saturday, if you're out there, don't be shy. Come get your pictures with Smalley.
Yeah.
Don't be shy. They can ask him for a picture. The picture.
Are we going to give things out? When they get a picture with all three of us, they get a nice gift. I'm going to bring some gifts that day. I do have them.
Good,
That's what you're going to do. You're going to bring
we'll
some
have
gifts.
some fun in the parking lot.
Yeah, we'll give
again, Mitchell Field, a.k.a. in the back, right near Nassau Community College. Mitchell Field, you got the game, 4 o'clock start. I suggest everybody get there by 1:30. Enjoy the day, a lot of camaraderie. Everybody's coming out of the woodwork with stories. A.k.a. we got the two goats, the two guys. And it doesn't get mentioned much, but Steven, one year when he was playing club ball, he was the best player in the world at one time. He was club player. He was club player of the year, wasn't he, Vinny?
Yes, he was.
Best player in the world, yeah. He worked hard, got to the top. He started small, went to CW Post, and rose to the top. So hard work, guys. All right, signing off. Let's get some
We'll
music,
see you all
Vince.
Saturday.